Most people will never hear this, and by the time they wish they had, it's already too late if you're over 70 or you're headed there. And you are, unless you're planning something disastrous. There are 5 very specific things only 5% of seniors can still do, that practically determine whether you live with strength, dignity, and meaning, or whether you decay quietly into the shadows of what could have been. And let me tell you, it's not random. It's not fate. It's built deliberately, choice by choice, day by day. And you can start today, right now. Because if you don't, entropy wins, and it wins fast. See, people have this terrible tendency to underestimate how fast things can fall apart. You think, well, I'll get to it tomorrow. I'll take care of my health when things settle down. I'll fix my habits once I feel more motivated. But here's the brutal reality. By the time you notice the cracks, the foundation's already rotten. You don't drift into vitality in your old age. You either aim at it with everything you've got, or you lose it. And I want to talk to you today, not to frighten you, but because I believe you can choose differently. You can step onto the narrow path, the hard one that leads upwards instead of down. When I was young, I used to think that old people were just naturally frail, that somehow, as if by a law of physics, the body and mind had to collapse after a certain point. And sure, there's some truth to the inevitability of aging. But as I watched year after year, I noticed something else. Not everyone collapsed. Some people, very few, remained powerful, alert, even joyful. You could see it in their eyes. You could hear it in their speech. And when you looked closer, you realized they weren't lucky. They were disciplined. They were deliberate. They had fought for their strength like it was life or death. Because it was. The first thing almost no one talks about, only about 5% can still do it past 70, is maintain real physical strength. I don't mean just shuffling down the hallway. I mean being able to stand up without assistance, to pick things up, to move through the world under your own power. Strength is not optional past a certain point. It's everything. Once you lose it, the cascade begins. Falls, hospitalizations, dependence, indignity. And it happens faster than you think. One small injury, one missed step, and suddenly you can't walk across the room without help. And the worst part, you still feel like yourself inside. But you're trapped in a failing body that no longer responds. You build strength now, or you grieve it later. Those are your options. And every day you choose inaction, you're choosing decline. Every day you avoid the discomfort of pushing your body is a vote for weakness. You don't need to become a power lifter. You need to move deliberately, to lift, to stretch, to challenge your balance, your endurance. Otherwise, you betray the very vessel that carries your soul through this life. It's a harsh truth, but a liberating one, because it puts the power back in your hands. Now, the second thing, the thing that sets apart the few who thrive, is maintaining cognitive sharpness. And it's not just doing crossword puzzles. It's engaging deeply with life itself. It's learning, arguing, exploring new ideas, continuing to grow intellectually, even when the world tells you, relax, you've earned it. That's the trap. The moment you stop striving mentally, the brain atrophies. Just like a muscle. You get slower, foggier. You lose not only your memory, but your curiosity, your passion, your fire. And I'll tell you something I've seen over and over. The seniors who stay mentally sharp are the ones who refuse to become spectators in their own lives. They stay involved. They wrestle with complex ideas. They remain humble enough to admit they don't know everything yet, and courageous enough to seek the truth anyway. And that hunger for knowledge, for understanding, keeps the mind alive far longer than nature would suggest. But it costs something. You have to endure the frustration of not knowing. You have to put yourself in situations where you're stretched, where you fail, where you feel foolish. Most people, after a certain age, become afraid of that. They retreat into comfort. And comfort, if you're not careful, becomes a coffin lined with velvet. The third thing that separates the 5% is emotional resilience. And this might be the most underestimated factor of all. Life after 70 is not just a slow, graceful sunset. It's loss after loss. Friends die. Your body betrays you. Opportunities dry up. And the world moves on without asking your permission. If you don't cultivate emotional resilience now, if you don't build the habits of gratitude, forgiveness, purpose, you're going to be crushed under the weight of inevitable sorrow. But there's something astonishing about the human spirit. It can carry more than you think if you train it. If you decide right now that you will not become bitter, that you will not sit in the corner and catalog your grievances, that you will seek meaning in every stage of life, even when it hurts, especially when it hurts, because meaning is what transforms suffering from unbearable into noble. I knew a man once in his late 80s who had buried 2 wives, lost a son, battled cancer twice, and yet he had this radiant warmth about him. You couldn't be near him without feeling lifted, and it wasn't because his life had been easy. It was because he had decided over and over again not to let tragedy have the final word. He fought for his spirit every day, and because of that, he lived, not just existed, right up until the very end. The 4th factor is maintaining real social connection. And here's the painful reality. If you wait for people to come to you, you'll die alone. After a certain age, friendships require active cultivation. You have to reach out. You have to forgive old grudges. You have to invest in the younger generations. Otherwise, the circle tightens and tightens until one day you realize you're standing alone in the ruins of your own pride. Loneliness is not just sad. It's lethal. It eats away at the body, the mind, the soul. It's been said, and the research backs it up, that loneliness is as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And yet so many people in their later years build walls instead of bridges. They hold on to resentment instead of releasing it. They isolate when they should be embracing. I know it's not easy. Reaching out risks rejection. Being vulnerable risks pain. But what's the alternative? A silent, slow fading into irrelevance and despair? That's a death far worse than any physical one. Connection is a choice. It's uncomfortable. It's inconvenient, and it's absolutely essential. And finally, the 5th trait, the rarest of all, is maintaining a transcendent purpose, something bigger than yourself. When your life shrinks to comfort and entertainment, you lose the reason to keep fighting. You must have a reason to get up in the morning, something to serve, something to aim for. Otherwise, the suffering of existence becomes intolerable. Purpose after 70 doesn't have to look like it did at 30. Maybe it's mentoring young people. Maybe it's creating beauty or sharing wisdom or simply bearing witness to life with dignity. But it must be something outside yourself. It must pull you forward even as everything else tries to drag you down. Without a purpose, you'll begin to decay. Not just physically, but spiritually. You'll stop seeing possibilities. You'll stop hoping. You'll stop living long before your heart stops beating. And that is a tragedy you can choose to avoid. You might be listening to this and thinking, it's too late for me. I've already lost too much ground, but that's the great lie. It's never too late to start aiming upward. It's never too late to build strength, to seek knowledge, to cultivate resilience, to reconnect, to find purpose. Every day is a chance to fight for your soul. Every moment is a choice between life and slow death. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it honestly. Begin where you are. Move 1 inch closer to strength. Open 1 book. Forgive 1 person. Make 1 phone call. Set 1 small goal. And another. That's how you join the 5%. That's how you build a life that even the ravages of time cannot destroy. If you found something stirring in these words, something deep inside you waking up, don't ignore it. That's your soul crying out for you to take responsibility. To step forward into the hard, glorious task of living fully, right to the end. Don't waste another day. Choose to become the exception. Choose to fight back against decay. Choose to build the kind of life you can be proud of, no matter your age. And if you're willing to commit to that journey right now, then click like, subscribe, and share this message. Because we need more people who refuse to go quietly. We need more people who choose meaning over comfort, strength over weakness, hope over despair. This isn't just about living longer. It's about living better. It's about standing tall when the whole world expects you to shrink. It's about showing by example that the human spirit, your spirit, is stronger than time itself. The next move is yours.